that just ignore this extra processor. Because if it's 100% reverse compatible, if you build your systems with that in mind from the very beginning, then this works out for everybody, right? Because even if, like, you know, the 2.0 is coming out, and you're, like, buying a 1.2 or whatever, right? You figure, well, developers will keep making games that work on the 1.2 for a while, because that's what they're familiar with, and they know there's a big installed base, right? And the guy buying the Wii 2.0, then he can say, hey, it doesn't matter how quickly developers support this, because I'll have the support of all the games that have already come out, and the developers that will continue making games on the 1.0 category, you know, which also the 1.1, 1.2, and all these things, right? And then the guys making the games, they don't have to support the 2.0 immediately, right? They can wait until they've got something worthy of it, until, you know, enough people buy it, enough people will buy it in anticipation of things coming out, right? But you don't need a huge release for it, right? You don't need to, like, okay, this thing is ready, but we're gonna basically wait a couple of years, you know, and make it really something big in this gigantic jump. We don't need to do gigantic jumps. We can just do, like, every year, like, there's a new version of the Wii, you know? We just add another little thing to that decimal. And you have to figure exactly when we transfer to a 2.0 versus a, you know, traditionally that's when you would break compatibility, actually, but, you know what I mean? If everything's compatible all the way through, then upgrades become so much easier. Then upgrade, you know, for everybody, for consumers, for the developers, for Nintendo even, right? If there's some problem with something, you know, that's okay, because we're doing a small update, and like, oh, well, we see there's a small problem here, and then we can correct that small thing, and wait a little longer to release that, you know. And it'd be very cool. It would allow them to get closer to the to technology, while still making it easier on everybody. So long as there's 100% reverse compatibility, and everyone can play with everybody else that way. Other things. What else we got? Well, I'd like to see more of the Web 2.0 type stuff on consoles in general, on the Wii, for instance. Connecting large numbers of people, doing whatever, you know, like you could just imagine, right? You have some Uber version of everybody votes, right? Where it becomes, do you think we should add this feature or that feature to the game? You know, or yeah, all the things you're looking for. What are you most expecting? And then like you get data from actual people that actually own these consoles as to what features are most important to them in the upcoming game. And speaking of which, we could extend the constant small updates to games even. And that's what you mentioned as being total digital, right? Having no discs at all. Well, if you're going to have compatibility, you're going to want to have discs. But yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Of course, then, you know, you'd need a hard drive of some sort, unless you're just storing the stuff on the internet. What if you're essentially storing just, you know, the code to play that game off of a remote server? You don't actually need to store much on your own hard drive. And or if there's a better connection to your computer. I love this idea, right? If you could do a remote desktop with the Wii, just have that as like a little channel you can download, and then a little, you know, corresponding program on your computer, obviously, and you click on, and then you go through to your computer, which I know this is possible, because there are remote desktops that are browser-only, and the Wii obviously has a browser. So this is possible. And then you could go, and then you could access your computer, and then suddenly, whatever awesome computer stuff you can only do there is accessible on the Wii. Whatever, you know, incredible amounts of media you've downloaded, you can watch it on your TV set, right? Connection between computer and TV. This is something Microsoft's been trying to do, trying to get their 360 compatible with Windows and stuff, transferring things across. Even playing games across that, which could get into some really interesting territory. Imagine if you download or buy, let's hope, a computer game, right, that works with computer controls, but it also has this option to work with the Wii controls, right? And this computer game, it uses intense processing power, okay? But it runs on your computer. So you downloaded it, and it works for your computer, and then you use a remote desktop application on the Wii to access that, have it transmit merely, just the control input to the computer, and the computer just transfers the audio-visual output to the TV set, right, through the Wii, right? And the Wii doesn't even need to use hardly any processing power, except just to pipe that audio-visual data through, which obviously the Wii knows how to do anyway, right? And then suddenly, you've got access to as much processing power as your computer has, which you can upgrade as much as you like. Whoa! So then suddenly, the Wii has a potentially tremendous amount of power without even trying, without even putting anything in the console itself. It relies on power found elsewhere. And speaking of power found elsewhere, there's another crazy Web 2.0 thing of combining power, from various machines, putting them together. So you have like an online game, like collectively hosted by all the people playing that online game somehow, right? And you have like amazing high processing things that honestly are just not much of a burden for each of the individual consoles because it's spread out among consoles. What if you even did, the folding at home thing they have with the PS3? What if you apply that stuff to games somehow? This is kind of advanced stuff, obviously. But, if in your spare time on your console, the console is using its spare processing power to assist with the processing of someone else's game somewhere else. I know, I'm going crazy advanced here. But that would be interesting. That would be really interesting. And one of the things they should do with this is to make everything expandable. They should have an open API, right? They should be able, so anybody can make their own software, and then you could download it through the Wii, and there'd be a big warning box as if this is a virus, it's not our fault, yada yada yada. I don't know. They'd probably do some virus checking by themselves just to make sure. You don't want your customers destroying their own stuff. Though I suppose you could just make it certain that the program's not allowed to access any data on the Wii, and therefore they can't do any permanent damage. But anyway, if you could make things fully extendable, then somebody could write that remote desktop program, for instance. Somebody could write anything at all that you might want, and they write some combining things, doing some open source things. I'd like to see that, some open source games that people are just constantly improving on, right? Whew. And those in turn would actually be free games, and then we have this universe of games. I'd like to see Nintendo encourage that. I'd like to see them really get on the ball, encouraging people to make independent, cheap games and put them online. I think they should do some sort of system where it's like, you make a game and put it online for free, right? And if it gets enough downloads from Wii consoles, then we'll give you a small contract. We have a small amount of money, and you can make another small game. If that gets downloads, we'll give you some more money, right? And then soon enough, the new game, the better games, they start charging 25 cents for this game or something, right? And then people can you smooth that curve. And people start going from the ground up, and I'm not even talking about consoles anymore, am I? Anything else? Well, we'll probably have better handheld to console connections and better console to computer connections, and for that matter, computer to handheld connections, and all that to the TV, and the TV to other people, and that's almost certainly right. Everything's going to get more connected somehow, and we will somehow, it may take a while, start moving away from big once every 5-year releases into once a year small releases that build up, and with reverse compatibility allows everybody to just upgrade when they feel like it, and in the meantime play all the games that work on their lower versions. Very interesting stuff. Yes, thanks for watching. See you later.